Hey everybody, Brandon Jones here. I got Kyle Bossman with me.
I love trailers.
I got Daniel Bloodworth with me.
Hey.
And I can actually talk about Dark Souls now because I played Bloodborne. I'm in. I'm initiated. I'm one of you guys, right? We're all friends now, right?
Yeah, you don't have to play. I'm not down with that. I don't like that way of thinking.
Well, I mean, it's one thing you play. Yeah, you can play anything. We're not here to play Dark Souls 3. We're here to critically analyze the advertising.
Yeah.
And I feel much more equipped to do that now that I have played a From Software game from start to finish. An interesting peek at the world of Dark Souls 3. Let's check it out. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate just for a second. I like this. I like this trailer. I dig it. I'm gonna score this trailer favorably. But I'm just gonna throw some thoughts out there. You get a spooky track. You get some people in a room. You know, with some women up here and the guys down there. You know, get them in a room. You know, sing a little something. You know, maybe this track was on Dark Souls 1. Who knows? You know, it's like all the music is similar. You know, I'm not saying they're like rehashing anything, but like it has a similar vibe to it. And then you pick some shots, some environmental shots. You put those in the beginning. You put a little gameplay in the middle. A little spooky shot at the end.
Oh, that's not fair.
There's your Dark Souls trailer.
No,
just because
that's not fair.
I'm just putting it out there because it's not like previous Dark Souls trailers have been crazy different than this. I mean, this is how Dark Souls typically sells itself. It just happens to work real well. This game happens to look super awesome. I think the quality of the game, the quality of the design, the quality of the music, I think really carries this trailer a long way. The question that I have, if I'm actually going to score it, is what does the trailer itself do to sell Dark Souls that you couldn't get from just kind of your average montage of footage from the game? Mr. Kyle Bossman.
I'm so offended about everything I just heard. The music isn't just some people singing spooky. You know what I mean? Like, it is masterfully composed music. Like, it is such a different vibe from what you'll see in other trailers. Oh my god, and the shots chosen, like, still surprises, still things that will shock you. Seeing a giant, huge skeleton monster still has an impact on you.
Awesome editing, yeah.
Yeah, that'll never just like wash off and just say, oh, more Dark Souls, huh? Dark Souls continues to surprise, and the trailers continue to communicate that.
But surprise, I mean, if they showed you anything you hadn't seen before, it would be a surprise.
No, like, there's some things in there that don't surprise you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, actually, seeing lots of bodies, seeing lots of just normal preying creatures, even that is kind of like, whoa. You know, I'm not going to go in a room and kill them. They're just doing their own thing. That's all kind of surprising in a weird way, too.
But another enemy might come along and transform them into a giant pile of goo. You should probably kill them, Kyle.
Yeah, right.
If it moves, you know, just cover your bases.
This is, yeah, if you have a franchise in its trailers that's capable of continually surprising, you can't be like, oh, I'm surprised again, big deal, another Dark Souls trailer. Like, that's fascinating to me. To see a giant, like, almost stomp on you and slap you with his fists, that's really crazy to me. That's a great moment of the trailer to show it, too. You know what I mean? Like, they may make it look easy, but I think this is a great trailer.
I feel like there's a lot in here that's familiar, but there's also a lot of little hidden bits. You know, like somebody tweeted at you, or you caught that thing about the creature in the cell.
Oh yeah, the wet chicken baby head thing in the hallway, which is a great. We're actually looking at the shot right now, but it's great misdirection because you have this giant lanky thing, which you see in the beginning of the shot with this like brand in its right hand and a big like torch or lantern in the left hand, and so you're just kind of like trying to take the image of this guy in, and like a lot of people totally miss this creepy looking thing waiting in this prison cell behind him, but it's a good example of going back and picking up those moments.
There's a lot of little things here that can kind of go by unnoticed, and in terms of how you move and some of the new abilities, and you see that like spin attack there, how it like fills in the gaps from like the things that Ben's described in his preview, and it's like, okay, I get that, and then you see the creating the bonfire at that one point, which is never anything that you've done before. That's a totally new mechanic. Yeah, it's not really done in a way to like obviously show off, here is our new thing. It's pretty much there for you to decipher bit by bit.
I have an extremely technical issue, but it's one that like I'm gonna stick by as an editor. I really have a problem with it, and that's bars just floating in the middle of a gameplay video. In this case, we see a super widescreen shot of two bosses introducing themselves, and being a From Software aficionado now, being well versed in the stylings, cinematic and gameplay wise of this company, I'm used to that playing Bloodborne. That's how the enemies were introduced. You walk into a room, and that was always kind of fun. That like when you see that cinema start, you're like, oh, here I go. I thought this was a boss room, but I wasn't sure. And those things, introduce themselves. Works really good in the game because there's a nice slow introduction to it. Like the bars come in and we see this monster and we get like a good 20-30 second introduction to it, and then we do a slow transition back to full screen. Whereas in this, it's so abrupt, and
well, I think part of it too is you have these cinematic shots that don't have bars on them, right? And so you obviously created that for the trailer. The game's not going to ever do that. You're not going to have these sweeping environmental shots anywhere in the game.
I just don't need to see those bosses introduced. Go right into the boss fight. I don't need like a big.
No. I mean, I think that idea of it crawling down from the ceiling is cool, but it does feel odd that if you did all of these other shots and angles in a way that don't really play out the way the game camera is going to play out, then why can't you pull those bars off just for the sake of the trailer?
I wonder if that's a big deal for them, or just if you were actually to tell them that, they would just kind of shrug their head at you and be like, what? Why would I do that? I don't care. This doesn't bother me, but it bothers me because the trailer does such a good job. I mean, I am just like devouring this environment. Like every time I look at any kind of area, it's just I'm so glad that the camera's pulled back so far, with the exception of the combat shots. The focus is really staying on that player. So I'm really just taking in this huge environment, and all of a sudden the whole environment's squished. All of a sudden it's like there's so much real estate on screen that is nothing's happening there. And it puts more of a focus, like I said, introducing this boss. But like to me, it's distracting. But that might just be like a weird editor thing. I also notice black frames in edits, and people are like, "There's no black frame there," and I'm like, "Yeah, look, that one frame." They're like, "Whoa, I didn't see that."
You should give yourself more credit than that. Letterboxing is clear to everybody. Yeah, everybody sees that.
Yeah, and in general, it doesn't bother me much, but it does in the sake of a trailer, just like the going back and forth really quickly.
It bothers me enough that I'm gonna drop my score to a pitiful, disgraceful, insulting 8.3.
So I'm going with 8.9.
Wow.
There's actually one cut that keeps it from being a 9. It's a jump cut when you're fighting the weird chubby knight that's on all fours. There's like a weird jump cut that exists for no reason.
Yeah, it's not a cut actually. It's like a 3 second, or it's like a 10 frame dissolve. It's actually they fade in between shots.
Yeah, don't do that
to hide it. To be like, oh, we'll just make it look messy for a second, and you won't realize what's happening.
Okay, yeah, that's goofy. Don't do that in your trailers. But yeah, otherwise, I love the pacing. I love that you show gameplay inside of this trailer. I love the shots you chose. Love the music. Fantastic trailer.
Yeah, I think it works pretty well. I think it's funny because I was also thinking 8.3. I think it does a good job of showing some new things and hiding some things in there for people to dig out. But yeah, I guess maybe in some ways it needed to maybe show something that was even a little bit more different in a way, because a lot of it does feel familiar at times.
And I think that's familiarity that, again, there's nothing, kind of what I was saying before, and again, I was playing devil's advocate, this trailer's rad, but,
yeah.
I every time a Dark Souls trailer does come up, it's kind of like Call of Duty launch trailers were always the same. They had like the same font, the same text, the same, there's like a model that some franchises can kind of get in because they're like, if we release a trailer and people say they love it, why fix it if it ain't broke? I think if I was to jump up into the 9s, it would be something that really stands out to me. That's very different from a lot of other Dark Souls media that's been released. But you could argue, why the hell would you do that? Because if you just show off this game and the game will sell itself.
I think that's fair, Brandon.
No editing required.
You never know until it's too late. You never know people are tired of your formula until it's too late, until you already put that out there.
So I would like to see that. If we are going to get some more trailers, you know, there's not a lot of, it's not very dialogue heavy, you know, like before a lot of Bloodborne trailers would actually see who's speaking. I don't know, just maybe different ways to change it up. There's so much mystery surrounding this game that I'm not exactly sure how to do that. So for this point, I will just give it the aggregate score of 8.5. Congratulations From Software and Dark Souls 3. I think it's safe to assume that everybody in the GT office will be playing this again, as we are wont to do for these types of games. Hopefully my skills will be up to par to actually see the end of it, because it looks absolutely incredible. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. And we will see you guys next episode.